It's a real privilege to have this little gathering. Thank you to all of you who've given the time today to come and listen, because what we're just going to do is listen. Listen to Hadassa and to hear her story of where she's been living and what has happened and how it is for her now. And it just may help us to get a broader understanding of things that are extremely complicated and deep, and we're not going to go into it at all, but in that sense that I know we're all thinking about this and we're all trying to find ways to know how to pray and how to be right in our thinking. And listening to personal accounts is so important, because most of the information we get comes off the black box in the corner of the room. And I have to say, the more I listen to the black box, I try not to, because it's quite tainted and quite biased. This is an authentic account. I'm just going to pray before we start, and then I'm going to ask Hadassa just to get going. Father, thank you for your heavenly provision. Thank you that Hadassa and her 2 children and her grandmother and her husband are in your hands. And Father, we thank you that you have watched over them. You've given her this idea of coming to speak to people she doesn't know, just to be able to share what life is like. And we pray, Lord, that you will just bless her words to our heart and help us to think in the way that you want us to grow in understanding. And so we just commit this morning to you, and we thank you in Yeshua's name. Amen. Hi, everybody. Before, do you want to speak up?
Then you speak up. Yeah, I need to speak up today. I'm going to sound like a bit repetitive. This morning, I got a goodbye message from my husband. He's in right now, and I would really appreciate it if we just pray together for a minute. I found your prayer to be beautiful. I've only ever really succeeded in praying through singing. If it's okay, I'm going to sing a song, and I'll just translate it as we go, but it's just the way I work. So we're singing Psalm 121. Shir ma'alo, I raise my eyes upon the mountains. Me'ayin yabo ezri, where will my help come from? Ezri me'im Adonai, my help is from God. He's the maker of heaven and earth. He will not allow our foot to falter. Al yanum shomrech, behold, he neither slumbers, velo ishan, nor does he sleep. Shomer Yisrael, the guardian of Israel. Adonai shomrecha, Hashem is your guardian. Adonai tzilcha, Hashem is your shade. Al yad yeminecha, at your right hand. Yomam hashemesh, by day the sun. Lo yakeka, will not harm you. Ve'areach balayla, nor the moon at night. Adonai yishmorcha mikol ra, Hashem will protect you from every evil. Yishmor et nafshecha, he will guard your soul. Adonai yishmor tzedcha uvoecha, me'ata ve'ad olam, from this time and forever. Amen. I'm Hadassa, just a normal girl, normal wife, normal mother, and I live in the south of Israel. Always loved the south. I don't know if any of you have been to the south of Israel, but it's very quiet. Reminds me a bit of Bournemouth. Very country energy, calm, not too busy, not too rough. Most of us are farmers. It's a lot of agriculture happening down there in the south. And when I moved to Gan Yavne 5 years ago, when we got married, 8 years ago, I just fell in love with the south. And I said, all right, this is where we're going to be. So we're going to buy our first home, and this is where we're going to settle down. And we bought in a lovely little neighborhood called Karmikat, which is about 30 kilometers from Gaza. It's Jerusalem, East Jerusalem. If you're up north, Tel Aviv, you have the Judea and Samaria. There are plenty of people who don't like us wherever you go. You literally just got to pick your poison, like quite literally. Moved into the south, and we've always loved it there. One of my favorite opportunities about living in the south has been being able to take care of soldiers. I have a little bit of an online platform, and I have people who send me a little bit of money every month, $5 a month. And with that money, we go down to a special unit called the Maglan unit. And they are elite soldiers, and they are responsible for the missions of going into Gaza. So these boys really risk themselves. And it's just been one of the perks of living here, is being able to drive down to Be'eri. I don't know if you've heard of Be'eri, but I'll tell you about it. And it's just been our life. We've just been nice people, getting on with it, taking care of our soldiers, praying for peace, etc. But it's just life. In Kiryat Gat, we don't usually get rockets. We're just, like I said, we're an agriculture town, so we're surrounded by a lot of fields. So when Hamas sends rockets, they usually just keep it on the coast because it'll hit somewhere. Versus if they send it to us, a little more east, the likelihood of it hitting us is quite rare. Even though we are very close to Gaza, we live quite a quiet life. And so on October 7th, we woke up at 6:30. It was a Jewish holiday of celebrating the beginning of the reading of the Bible, of the Torah. We read it every week, and we finish the entire book. And so on Simchat Torah, we just celebrate the fact that we're starting again. It comes right after the holiday of Sukkot, and it's a Jewish holiday. At 6:30, the sirens went off, and I don't know who have any of you ever been through a siren? Have you ever heard one? It's very interesting. The way sirens are designed is they're built of two different tones that are in a complete musical dissonance from each other. So as a human being, when the siren happens, you get uncomfortable, and it kind of just makes your body reacts without even knowing it. And it kind of warns you that you're in danger. So even if you don't know what the siren is for, you know you have to run from where you are. Sleeping in our beds, the siren comes on. Within 3 seconds, we are out of bed and running to get our children into our bomb shelter. Every house in Israel has to have a bomb shelter or have good access to one. The bomb shelters are designed in a way that if a rocket hits you directly, the house will be destroyed, but you won't. You have to be very careful, close the door correctly, remove the windows, etc. You really have to make sure your bomb shelter is up to standard, which ours is, thank God, and we went into the bomb shelter. Now, obviously, it was the Jewish holiday, so most of us had our phones off, we had our TVs off, and we had one siren, and another siren, and another siren. And like I mentioned, it's not a normal occurrence for us. One siren would have been fine, but 2 or 3 in a row was weird. And so Daniel and I made the executive decision to break the laws of Shabbat and to see what was going on. In Judaism, we value human life over everything, even Judaism. So if you ever have to either keep a Jewish law or save a life, save the life. And that was very much the case over here. Unfortunately, there were Jews who didn't switch on their phones, and some of the areas that got really badly attacked, and had they would have, they may have still been alive today. So it's really important that when there's a siren, now the Israeli rabbinate has even put out a ruling for all Jews in Israel. If there is a siren, you check your phone now, because we don't know what this means anymore after October 7th. So we checked the news, and there seems to have been 2,700 rockets sent over. Now, a rocket is literally somebody saying, I would like to destroy whatever this is going to hit. That's what a rocket is, right? It's this little thing that they launch from Gaza. It lands wherever it lands. It is usually full of glass, explosives, pieces of metal, shrapnel. It's not just from the actual rocket itself. They stuff it with things. So when it does land, it explodes, and all of that bad stuff that's inside the rocket will hopefully hit and kill more people. It's really, it's not anything you would ever want on it for another human. Over the course of the last few years, Israel has developed the Iron Dome, which has completely changed the game, in which the Iron Dome intercepts the rockets, and it sends up a little rocket and it intercepts it above us. And you see these lights, whenever you see the lights on the videos, it's the Israeli Defense Force just exploding the rockets mid-air. And there are 2,700 rockets. Even the Iron Dome is going to have a hard time hitting that. So we knew we had to stay very, very close into our in our bomb shelter, and we knew that the risk of more rockets actually hitting was quite high. So at 7 a.m. we look at our phone. We understand that there have been a lot of rockets. Now, it was very bizarre to us because Hamas is a terrorist organization. So their goal is to terrorize us. And they didn't warn us about the rockets. Than to say, we're coming for you, right? And they always do that. They always say, give us a 3-day build-up of like, we're coming for you, it's gonna happen, and they do. They're like probabilities. It's like, sounds stupid because like we're all adults. Like why Why are you sending over rockets? Why are you bored? Like, you know, get a life. But this is their life. And it was worrying to me that they didn't warn us about this. I get a video from a friend of mine who works in the police and in the rescue service. And I open it, and it's a video of the soldiers driving through Sderot, which is a city down south. And I look at my husband, and I go, oh, the soldiers are on their way, right? They're going to put a stop to this. And my husband, his face goes white. And he says, Das, those aren't Israeli soldiers, my love. I look closer, and I see 6 men dressed in black, masks, green stripe across their head, guns, rocket launchers, death in their eyes. And I don't really know how to process this information. There are Hamas terrorists down the road from us. In Israel, when there's one terrorist on the loose, the entire country goes into lockdown. There are 6. How did they get in? What happened? I can't begin to describe how scared we felt. Like, just imagine if there was a video of 6 terrorists with guns on your street, right here, just driving around. They've gotten through. And you're hearing screaming and shooting, and you don't know what's going on. Now, we now know that they got us very good. They didn't just make it into Israel, they hacked the entire security. They went into Sderot, and they took over the police station. So any calls people were getting to the police, they were able to stop. They went into the army base, that's the border, and they took it. Literally hung bodies outside the building. And so they controlled the border between Israel and Gaza. I don't know how many of you watch Game of Thrones, but it literally felt like the White Walkers were making their way over the wall. You know, that the really bad, evil enemy that's just here to kill, they did it. They made it in. This is a 25-minute drive from my house. This is like the distance between you and Bournemouth. Yeah, this isn't in a Middle Eastern country, a third world country. This is my house. This is my home. We lock ourselves in the bomb shelter, waiting for more news. There was no clear news, which was the worst thing in the world. Because if the government and the police aren't telling us what's going on, then what must be going on? We didn't own a gun. We've applied for licenses now. There's no way we're not going to have a gun anymore. We might need one if they ever try this again. But that was how the day started. At 9:30 we were in the bomb shelter, and I hear, with the children, I always try to smile and sing when the siren goes off for the children, because I really don't want them to be scared. And there's no reason for them to be actually scared of the siren, right? It's just a very, very loud noise. So they don't know that it means that somebody's trying to kill them. They could just think that this is where we're chilling now, you know? We chill in the bath when it's bath time, we go to sleep when it's bedtime, we go to the bomb shelter when there's a siren. Like, just try to make it easier for them to process. I'm in the bomb shelter and I'm singing the song to them. Oh, we're just singing, and all of a sudden we hear the loudest noise I've ever heard. And I've gone to army bases and I've heard the shootings, and I've heard loud noises. This was nothing like this. My entire house shook. My children started screaming hysterically. Not like, oh my gosh, that was so scary. Just, right, like, what is that noise? And both of them haven't really been the same since. We went inside our bomb shelter, and when it's safe, we open the door, and there's just smoke and dust everywhere. It was like 9/11. The house in front of me is gone. My neighbor. The ambulances show up, the firemen show up. The rocket had exploded inside the house. The people were just about okay. They were in their bomb shelter. So it really does keep you safe, but they were an absolute mess and their house was gone. It's like, this is my backyard. Like, not theoretically anymore. Like, it's literally here. And we're just trying to figure out what's going on. And we're getting news that they're kidnapping people. That they're shooting people in their own homes. Sorry, they're shooting people in their own homes and in their own beds. And this is just news that we're getting from people sending videos around on WhatsApp. Because the police weren't answering. The fire, nobody can get down there, so people were just sending out videos saying, please, I'm here, please come help us, please come get us, we are here. I still, when I read the news about what actually happened, I refuse to accept it. I said this yesterday, but I'll say it again. What happened is too bad for your ears to handle. If I just started shooting out information about the way my people were murdered on October 7th, you would want to vomit, and rightfully so. This isn't, you know, if they came in and they did a quick shot in the head, because that's what they would do, like soldiers. Okay, they have an agenda, they're trying to fight. Okay, fine. They got us, they killed us. I'm gonna say one thing, and I apologize if this makes you very uncomfortable. He had to take a baby out of an oven, and the mother was tied to the chair watching it. This is 20 kilometers from where I live. This is what I was trying to protect my kids from. And the only reason it's October 7th, not the month of October, is because the army stopped that. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be Arab. Palestine will be free is not an accurate translation of the Arabic. Palestine al-Arabiya. They want Palestine to be Arab. They would have continued the north to the south, the east to the west until we were gone. As the day progressed, the news was just getting worse and worse. Did any of you hear about the music festival?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if someone just walked into Glastonbury? Is that the way you pronounce it? Parachuters. They just shot and raped the entire crowd. That's what they did to us. Free Palestine? That's what they did to us. They're not okay. And anyone who's supporting Hamas doesn't understand what happened to us. Because I love Palestinians. And I love Muslims. And I respect them enough to differentiate between the two. There's Hamas and there's Palestine. There's Hamas and there's Islam. Not the same. Now, anyone who's Muslim is just like, oh, I gotta support my Palestinian brethren who are getting destroyed by the Israeli army because they are Hamas, right? It's complicated. I'm not saying it's not complicated. We get a call at 12 o'clock. We still have no idea what's going on. No idea who's been stopped, who hasn't. All we know is that there are over 1,000 terrorists in walking distance of us. And my husband gets called up to serve. He has to go right now. I don't have a gun. I don't have a knife. I have a kitchen knife. Not gonna be enough to stop them if they come for me and my kids. What am I gonna do? I'm a soldier wife. I kiss him goodbye and he goes. I called my mother on the Holy Sabbath. She's a very religious woman, my mother. We have a rule in our house that if you have to speak to her, you call twice. Sometimes people call on Shabbat, they don't really mean to. We have a code in the family, an emergency code. If you need anybody, you call twice. I called once and she answered immediately. She knew. She hadn't opened her phone. She'd been in the bomb shelter once or twice, but it wasn't that bad. She said, Das, what's going on? And I told her to sit down. Can't listen to this standing up. She sits down and I tell her that Hamas terrorists have broken the border between Gaza and Israel and that nobody in this country is safe anymore. I tell her that they are very, very well equipped, that they've taken over police stations in the border. I tell her that there's a music festival that's in trouble. My younger brother, Srui, he's a funny one. We're an Orthodox family, he's not Orthodox at all. Struggled with drug use and alcohol use, and he's in recovery and we're really proud of him. And he started working again and he has money now. And their car broke down on the way to the festival. He came home, he would have been there. And he never would have come back, because even if he would have come back alive, you do not come back from that. Daniel gets called up and I get a phone call from a very dear friend of mine. And he says, is Daniel in? I said, me too. He has 3 daughters, 2 of them are my son's age and a newborn baby. He said, I just unlocked a lock on our bomb shelter and I'm gonna leave my gun here. I know that you can use it, but she won't be able to. Can you please move in and take care of my wife and children whilst I'm gone? Yes, of course. And I said goodbye to my house. I drove down the street and I moved in with him. And Heather and me became war wives. We got through this together. And we missed our husbands, and we prayed with our husbands, and we parented each other's children, and played with the kids, and she bathed the kids, and we decided to just get through this together. I'll never forget what it's like sleeping 8 people in a tiny room, or 8 people. No, we were 70. A small room with a gun I don't know how to use. We had 2 infiltrations into my city, 2 attempts. Just had our 3rd one last night. They're still out there. We haven't gotten all the terrorists in. We still haven't. And I know there's a lot of talk about Israel, Palestine, Gaza, genocide. I need you to know that this war is not between Jews and Arabs. It's not between Israelis and Arabs. It's not between Jews and Muslims. It is between a Western society and a terrorist organization. And you're welcome, because if Hamas was here, your sons would be at war. Because there is no other way to get rid of this evil if not by chopping off the head of the snake. There's no choice. Israel's anthem is to be a free nation in our land. We have Arab citizens. We have Muslim education programs. I went to college with plenty of Muslims. We actually can coexist if neither of us have it in our hearts to kill each other. It's a pretty basic rule for neighbors. But we really can coexist, and we can celebrate each other's cultures and support each other's businesses and work as colleagues. And there are mixed. That's okay. Muslims and Jews can happily get along. We actually have a lot in common, especially in Israel, because my grandmother is a Jewish Arab. She grew up in Tunis. She speaks Arabic fluently. Not her, not this one. No, she's more of the Poland, Russia side of things. That's where I don't get my colour from this grandma, I get it from the other one. We can coexist. It's not a stupid, politically correct, woke term. Look at this, we're a bunch of Jews and Christians. We all love each other. We all love God, and we just want good things to happen in life. And we do things a little differently. Whatever, who doesn't? This is a war between a Western society and a terrorist organization. And again, you're welcome. Because your husbands would be gone right now, not mine. Think they don't want to get rid of the West? Think they're okay with the fact that America and England allows gay marriages? Or that women don't cover their hair and have the access to education? Think they're okay with that? They'll come for you too if they have the chance. We're just the top of their list. We're just first priority. Christians, they'll come for you too. I don't mean to be scary, it's a reality. Our agenda is to kill people that are different than them. To kill. Again, if they would have put bullets in our heads, I would have respected them. Burning 40 babies together. As the parents are forced to